Question I get asked all the time is about, and I asked on Instagram what you wanted to know videos wise, was about tools and spare parts. So bike's loaded up, created, it's about to get shipped out of the country. So I thought I would just take 5 minutes and just go through what I carry. And just so we're clear on this, I ride around the world, which basically is overlanding. It doesn't have an end date. So because of that, I might carry a few more tools than you do, a few more spares than you do. If you're kind of expedition riding, something with a set start date, end date, be it a Trans Euro Trail or TAT or BDR, you're going to carry less. So for me, this is to get me out of like 95% of trouble. And what I'll do, I'll go through them individually, and then I'll show you the tools first, and then the spares after that. And then in the description, I'll put a link. It'll go to my website, and it'll have a breakdown of every single thing that I'm going to show you. And then that way, if you're just starting out with a 500 XC, or you're starting out doing some dual sporting, adventure riding, then this might be a good base for you to look at for tools and stuff. So I'll start off with tools. Basically everything, those three things, and this fits in my bash plate toolbox setup. So there's another video on that showing you how that thing works. So this is everything that I carry for tools. Get rid of that, I'll lay them out for you. So Motion Pro B breakers. So I carry 3 tire irons. Motion Pro B breakers, if you haven't seen these, basically put that under the rim between the tire, put this together, and you just squeeze them. So that way around. It comes in from the back, have the riding facing each other, and force them down, and you'll pop the bead. Motion Pro tire iron, and it has obviously to fit the rear axle. This is a 27mm for the 500 EXC. I'll leave that one for now. Wrenches are 14, 13, 12, 10, 8. These are titanium wrenches. I've had these for years. Yes, they weigh a little bit less. That's all good. But not necessary to have titanium. A spoke wrench, which actually has a 10mm on the other side. So that's how the KTM toolkit. Spark plug, 14mm thin wall for the 500 EXC. That's from Motion Pro. This was just something I had in my toolkit. It's like a little knurled extension, but it just helps not only on the spark plug, but doing other stuff as well, just to be able to get your hands in there. A short extension, which is all I need, and inside the spark plug wrench there's a piece of rubber, so that actually holds all that together. Sockets, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 17, and these are actually held together. That is a 1/4 to a 3/8 adapter, and then all these sit on an extension. So nothing spectacular, nothing crazy, but just put them all together and everything fits, and you've just got one little tight unit of sockets and an extra extension. So I'll explain these bags in a second. So with the Motion Pro, I can use that to break anything. So if I'm using my sockets are all 3/8. I don't use 1/4 inch sockets because they tend to be a little bit weaker. So I use 3/8. Use this, have an extension so I can get to anywhere on the bike. But if you do run a 1/4, in this little bag here, this is like a mix of parts and spares. Let's move these. I do carry a two-piece ratchet. This is a 1/4 inch ratchet. This was actually for cycling, but with that, because it's that and that I can combine, and I can use that as a T-handle. I can use that as a wrench and get stuff pretty much snugged up, and then just finish the tightening with that. If it's a small, you know, if it's small hardware, then yeah, I can just tighten it with this. So that covers me. It covers me pretty much everywhere, and that just packs down to nothing. Allen wrenches. I used to have a motorcycle shop, so I have kind of high-end tools. These are Mac. These are stubby Allens, just because I have them. Motion Pro chain tool. I use this as a chain breaker and a press and everything. So that's one tool for all my chain stuff. Leatherman Crunch. If you're not familiar with this one, it folds out, and this is actually vice grips. So this is a good thing to have, you know, if you snapped off a lever or whatever. So that's a set of vice grips. Plus it has all the stuff that a Leatherman normally has, you know, screwdrivers and knife and all that kind of fun stuff. So that's my Leatherman tool. I have a set of grips. These are Nipex. These are the small ones, the 6-inch ones. But they're extremely high quality and very good to have. You know, get you out of a lot of trouble. A magnet. So if you're doing your valves or like I do, you tend to drop hardware somewhere hidden away in the bike. An extended magnet, so that's handy. And then let's dump out this bag first. Before I do that, let's just do these. So Gorilla Tape, duct tape, and then this is self-amalgamating tape. So if you split a hose line, that can fix in a hose. This is a mat that folds out. This for changing tires on a dirt trail. So get all of that out of the way. So in this little bag, let me move all this. In this little bag, that is cable for fixing a throttle or, you know, somebody else's clutch. I mean, on the 500 it's hydraulic, but I can fix somebody's odd clutch. A couple of extra pins for the foot pegs, a small screwdriver, some safety wire, a couple of odd Allen wrenches, feeler gauge, and I have a selection of Torx bits, ones that fit the bike, different sizes, and some more Torx bits. Spare key for my GPS to lock it in place, and a couple of odd little bits of long hardware and the stuff to make the cables. So that all goes in there. In these bags, these were from, if you go on Instagram, there's a page called Trailbound, and he makes these are like dual-sided bags. So in this one, this side, little bits of hardware, odd pieces of hardware, a little pile right there. Some flat bits, Phillips, and an adapter for 1/4 inch, and that is a cap that goes on the tank if I wanted to shut off my rear rally tank and just use the front tank. I just take the O-ring off the tank and put it on there, and I could seal that off. That's an Allen bit that fits the highway dirt bikes, because they're on the big bolt. They use a standard Allen, so I can use this, and it fits in a 10mm, so I can actually take my hand controls off and not have to carry a full-size Allen. So that's what goes in that side. In the other side, and this one is just a mix of random hardware. Okay, just a bunch of random odds and ends of different sizes, you know, sprocket bolts, various different lengths of Allen bolts with different heads and different size threads. and a few different hose clamps, and a few odd washers. In the other side, so that would be in there, the Motion Pro tool, and this side is for my changing tires. So what we have is a valve puller tool. This obviously goes with a Motion Pro. That's a bead body. This is the little trail version. These are pretty cheap, but make life a lot easier getting the tire on. And then that, and that. Let's see. That's a valve core remover, again from Motion Pro. A couple of valve cores and a valve cap. And then this is from a company called Enduro Stand. And basically, you thread this together. Thread this on here. And then use a pin just to hold the whole thing together. So if you stopped on the side of the trail, you want to take a wheel off, you put the weight of the bike on that, and basically you make whatever wheel that's left on the bike, the side stand, and this becomes a tripod, holds the bike up. Then you can take your wheel off. If you're taking off your front wheel, make sure your bike's in gear. If you're taking off your rear wheel, get a little Velcro to wrap around your front brake and pull your front brake in to hold it in place. And then the other side is, this is my electrical pieces and parts. I have a few different size quick connectors, posy lock stuff, standard connectors, spade connectors, another posy lock, and some fuses, which are not only for me, they could be for other people as well. So there's a variation of stuff there. And then this little tool is another Leatherman, which actually comes in very handy. This is for stripping wires. This is called a squirt. Again, I'll link all this stuff so you know what it is. Good for stripping wires. Has a little set of pliers on the end to grip. Has a set of cutters in it, and then, like every Leatherman, inside it has random stuff: a file, a knife, tiny little screwdrivers. So if you're doing little stuff, it's good. Pair of scissors. So that's a great little tool to have. So again, that's all the tools. That's my basic toolkit. That'll get me out of most situations. So again, feeler gauges, magnets, Motion Pro axle tool, bead breakers, trail stand, 3/8 sockets, 8 through 17, wrenches, 14 down to 8, and an extra one for spokes, Allen's, quarter inch ratchet, some grips, a Leatherman Crunch with vice grips, socket for the spark plug, and 3/8 extension pushed into it, and a chain tool. So that gets me out of pretty much anything and everything. Okay, other tools that I carry is this. This is a new company that just literally started a few weeks ago. They call it Engduro, Engduro, and this is their trail tool. And I literally have used this every day since I've got it, just for odds and ends, and then taking the bike apart, getting it ready for shipping. It's magnetized on both ends. So you have kind of long enough as a wrench, and then the other way around as a T-handle. This version comes with the bits that you see, so 6, 8, 10, Phillips, a couple of Allens, a couple of Torx. So obviously you can change these out to any 1/4 inch drive you want, or carry extra ones, and it's actually magnetic as well. So you can, as you take your hardware off, you can actually put it on there and it'll hold it in place. These are a new company out of Canada. Again, I'll put a link, but I just keep that on the front of my tank bag, and they called it I forget what their official name, but when they sent it to me to test, they said it was like a 75% tool. Basically to do about 75% of things that you need around the bike quickly, and that just fits in the front of my tank bag, and it's phenomenal. It's great. It's about $50, something like that. Okay, if you consider them tools, I have a hand pump, and this is and I carry some extra Velcro straps just in case I need to tie something down on the bike for whatever reason, and obviously a gauge. So, and then I also have in here, because you're probably saying, where does he keep or where does he have stuff if he fixes a flat? Or another air gauge as well. So this is my pump. That runs off of an SAE connection, which I have plugged in on the back of the bike. So that's the pump, and thing is tiny. I've been using this for about 4 years, something like that. Just to let you know how good it is. Made by a company called Moto Pumps, but there's a few other companies that make the same thing. It's an air shot inflator, and it'll inflate up to around 100 psi. So there's that. The extension cables to be able to plug it into the bike and be able to reach wherever you need to. The air. The nice thing about this is, though, that if you're hooked up and you're hooked up to your pump and you're pumping everything, pumping your air in, and you get your tire. Like with most pumps, you've got to take off the pump to go and pull out your gauge to check the pressure. With this one, it actually has 2 valves on it. So when you're pumping and you want to find your pressure, you can read the pressure from the second outlet, which is a really nice feature. So it just saves you a little bit of time, a little bit of energy. In here as well is a few puncture repair kits. Basically, I buy them and then double up what's inside and then tape them up, because hopefully I don't get a puncture. But in my luggage, I carry standard 21 or standard 18 standard thickness, and in the bike I use ultra heavy duty tubes. And then also in there, this lives actually in not down in the toolbox, but all this kind of electrical stuff, this lives in the side bag, so it's all in waterproof. And then I have a multimeter, which is a tiny little deal. The reason I got this one, I like this one, is because you physically need to turn a dial to turn it on. And what I do, I have the battery in the back. I just have a piece of tape on it, so if for any reason it did turn on, it won't wear out the battery, so the battery will last for a long time. So yeah, I found this one on I think it was on Amazon, and I want to say it was about $20, something like that. XB866, and then I keep it in a heavy duty Ziploc bag as well, just to help. And in there, inside the bag, pull it back out again, show you. Inside the bag, I carry some extra O-rings. These, so we're getting into spare parts. These are for the tank connection, where you have the click-in tank connection. So you obviously know that with these, you need to make these, preferably put some grease on them. But if you're stuck and you have to take your tank off, you can spit on that. But these, after a while, tend to dry out, so I carry some spares. And then that is the clutch cover, the gasket for the clutch cover, because again, rubber and it can tear. So just to emphasize again, I'm overlanding. I'm on a permanent trip, so I tend to carry a little bit more spare parts than your average person would that's doing weekend, week long, something like that. So look at this and pick out what you think you need, but basically when you set the bike up, all your consumables, so your brake pads, your oil, your any of your fluids, radiator fluid, brake fluid, clutch fluid, cables, anything like that, they're all new when I start. So everything is new, and then I carry some extras with me. But if you're just going away for a week or two, you set all that up and you'd only have to carry a fraction of what I carry. So these bags are from Motor Pockets. They're called 7x7 bags, and they fit perfectly in the bottom of Moscow's R80 luggage. So, and they're a thicker material. They're not waterproof, but they're inside a waterproof Moscow luggage. But you know, you've got pretty heavy stuff in here, so you need something durable to hold them. So I'll start with this bag. Lay it all out. Okay, so in this one bag, this is a spare fuel pump. This is the California Cycle Works. I changed mine out at 350 hours, and this one was still working fine. So my spare is actually my older one, but it should get me out of trouble. And the hoses and connectors that I need to work along with that. And then if you're out on the trail and you're wondering if you're working okay, if your fuel pump's working okay, contact Mike at Takomoto. He makes this little kit, and basically plug this into your connection for your tank, and plug this into the tank where the fuel pump connector is, and then you take the two odd connectors, hook those onto your battery, and turn your bike on. And if fuel comes out, then you know your fuel pump is working. So it's a quick, simple thing to have. And obviously, if you need to be able to share some gas or whatever, you can do it that way as well. So a little bit of help for somebody else. All right, next up, spare front sprocket and the spring washer. And this is a 14 tooth. I run 1548 on my bike, so this is a 14, but I carry a spare. I run a Dirt Tricks sprocket on the back, and it's got 28,000 kilometers on it, and it still looks like new. They challenged me to take it around the world, see how far I would get. But the fronts will wear a lot quicker than the rears. Couple of extra clips for the Moscow bags, just in case I break them. These are ones that you can actually thread the webbing through. You don't need to do any sewing. So a couple of spares of those. Some Loctite, some 2-part epoxy, steel weld if I crack any type of case, and some JB Weld to more of a long-term set. Two friction discs for the clutch, and some sandpaper. So if you fry your clutch, generally it's going to be one or two of the discs that go bad, that'll go real bad. So that's why I have those replacements. Carry the sandpaper so you can scuff everything back up, and you should be able to get yourself out of trouble quite easily just with that. That's all you kind of really need. And in this bag, these are spare parts for the internals on the rear suspension. The reason I carry these, if they go out, these potentially are not the easiest thing to find. So they are pretty bulky and heavy, but because the way I ride and where I ride, I figure why not carry them. In the other bag, again, another 7x7 bag from Barbot Motor Pockets. Some spare wire, a tiny Phillips. So, small gauge micrometer, and so if you're doing your valves, and that is a complete set of valve shims. So it fits in. That's a mini Altoids box. It fits in there, and in here I actually have a loop like a magnifying glass, so you can zoom in and see the numbers on the valves a lot easier. Spare chain link, spare brake pads front and rear, bearings and seals. So because I run a Cush hub, I have different sets of bearings. So generally, if your bearings go, both sides aren't going to go, only one's going to go. So there's enough for one side of the front wheel or one side of the rear wheel. Spare keys, more spare chain links, a fuel injector, spare piece of chain. So when I change the chain, I get a 120 chain, and what I cut off, I just keep a little extra because I have had chains snap on me before. If I'm doing a quick oil change, so I carry a filter, and I also carry a stainless filter as well, that if I'm doing areas, lots of water crossings, if I dump the bike, then I can do multiple changes and not go through the stock filters. But stock filters, change them every other oil change. So the oil changes that I'm not doing a full oil change and filter, I do a quick change, and then this is from Bulletproof. Just screw it in, lean the bike over, and drain your oil. Some filter skins, very useful, especially if you're riding behind somebody. A few more odd electrical connectors and heat shrink, and these are the ones that I can use with a cigarette lighter. Couple of odd host lamps, a KTM genuine parts spark plug, some odd hardware. This is for the side stand specifically. So I have a hatred of button heads, even though that's what they come with. So I changed them out to a regular Allen, just because I feel I can get it a little tighter. If you strip a button head, especially if it's stainless, they're a nightmare to get off. Spare axle nut. Your rear axle nut can fail. If you get grit inside and you don't realize, it can work its way into the threads, and then your axle nut will slowly loosen itself off, fall off the bike, and getting that thread pitch in some locations is not that easy. A spare connector. Don't remember what it was for, but obviously I needed it because it's in here. And some spare clutch rubbers. These are the Recluse ones, so they have a little bit more material than the stock ones. So that's it. That's everything. That's all tools and spares. And then I'll walk you over to the bike, because there are a couple of other ones. So over here on the bike, getting ready to be shipped. Let's see here. Find a place where you can actually see it. So on the bike itself, on the radiator zip tied, I have brake pedal, clutch lever, and then to the other side. On the other side, I have a shifter and a clutch lever. So if I do go down, break anything, I have some extras there. On the fork leg zip ties, these are the expensive one with the metal inserts, because any other type of zip ties are basically just, they're going to fail eventually. And behind here, you can't actually see it, behind here is, you can see that little red thing. I'll put a photo of it, what it is. That's a tool for cleaning your fork seals from wrist racing. So that's there. So that's about it. That's everything I carry, tools and spares wise. Can't think I have anything else, but yeah, that gets me out of trouble pretty much anywhere, anything I'm doing. Nice, quick, simple, easy. The majority of virtually all the tools fit in the toolbox. So if you're not familiar with my bike, this is the toolbox here, and everything fits in there. So, and that locks up. That's from a company called Scheffelmeier Metal in Germany. And Mike at Takomoto, if you're listening, you said you were going to make something similar. So if you're watching this video, just send Mike a message and say, hey, how's that toolbox bash plate thing coming along? So that's it. That's the lot. It might be more than some, less than a few, but gives you a good idea of what I carry on the road. So I hope that helps you, and hopefully see you out there somewhere.